Interesting, but more interesting is the next one. The next one is about codification. Codification, what is codification? Well, it varies from what you could call uncodified to codified, but in the late 50s, I thought, a certain person called Polanyi stated that there's something in this like tacit knowledge. You have heard this term here a couple of times. But what is tacit knowledge? Tacit knowledge is what is in between your ears. That is what you know. But there is something mistaken about tacit knowledge. You cannot extract all tacit knowledge. For instance, if I would give a manual to my son of, let's say, 18 years old on how to drive, and I would say, read this textbook, and then I give him the key, and you can drive anywhere you want, you will know what will happen. At least I'm not going to pay for that. But the point is, tacit knowledge is knowledge that is only learned through learning. This is the experience. And TRIZ is very uncodified at this level. I mean, you need several years to understand what TRIZ is about, to get a form of understanding and how to apply it. So it's more than just trying to do it. So uncodified is about learning to swim, for instance. You cannot learn to swim by a procedure. I can give you a procedure and you will drown. The upper level is codification. And again, the most interesting point in TRIZ is that Altshuler and his team, well, they learned and they tried to codify solutions. They were codifying it. Going to a higher level of abstraction, or sorry, codification. So codification is about selecting. It's about percepting, it's about perception. What is perception? Perception is what you see, hear, feel, taste, etc. So it is the direct reality that you're sensing. It's with your senses. Codification is about creating categories for phenomena. You see things happening around you, and you're trying to create a name for it. This is one of the things that we do. The difference between uncodified and codified, simply stated, is a difference between, let's say, a procedure, an algorithm, and the lowest part is an experience. I think you know the joke of the cruise, of a very big cruise with 2,000 people on board, and they had to take off, and the ship didn't take off. And the captain said, oh, what's happening there? Yeah, we have some problems with the pumps. Okay, fix it as soon as possible. A half an hour later he said, well, we still haven't fixed the pumps. And the captain decides, well, I'm going to ask the crew, the visitors, on is there anybody here that knows something about pumps? And there was one small guy who said, well, I know something about pumps. And he said, okay, please go down to the lower decks and solve my problem. And you can charge me. He said, okay, it's fine. He went downstairs and he looked at the pumps. He took a hammer. He went to a specific place of the pump and he hit it extremely hard. And he said, let's try it now. And it worked. I said, fantastic. Fantastic. The guy charged 100,000 euros. The captain said, are you crazy? Why do you charge 100,000 euros? And the guy said, it took me 20 years to come up with a solution to know where and how hard I have to hit. This is experience. Okay. Another strange thing about codification is the higher you go in the codification, the more data you lose. The higher codified, the less codification there is. The less information there is. You lose data. The next axis, so just to summarize, the highest level you could call procedures, algorithms. The lowest level is tacit knowledge. Okay. The next level, which is, I think, the most interesting of all, is what is called the abstraction, because this is the name of the title. And yesterday we had a very interesting talk from Mr. Gerasimov about when he said, well, we find the anti-function. And it doesn't have to exist. This is abstraction. You are abstracting what is real. It doesn't have to exist. Just take the anti-property or the anti-function. So, an extremely very good example of what is abstraction. I mean, the difference between, let's say, codification and abstraction is that codification is about percepting. Abstracting is about conceptualizing. It's making models, things that don't exist. Another example might be that what you do in abstraction is trying to strip the information. You're trying to get rid of the concrete, practical information, and you want to expand it to a higher, zoomed-out level. In that sense, Max Boisseau uses from semiotics, a three-leveled way to abstract. And the first one is, of course, you will all recognize the Eiffel Tower, and everybody knows, oh, this is France. This is an icon. Altschuler is an icon. But a sign is already something abstracted. This is not concrete. And even more abstract is a symbol, for instance, mathematics. So this is very fine. And at this point, Max Boisseau warns us a bit, not to be diffused. In that sense, that codification and abstraction cannot always be split up so easily. You cannot only think about abstraction and codification, they go hand in hand. You cannot reduce the world to numbers. It's more than that. But a very good example, I think, of abstraction and codification is language. Language is a form of abstraction and also codification. It's naming something. So if I would say, do you know a bird? Everybody understands what a bird is. A bird is an abstract thing. A bird doesn't exist. Does anybody know doves, a dove or a hawk? But again, the word hawk is very abstract. Which hawk do you mean? You mean that one over there? And that is concrete. So you see the way you can use language to abstract. But again, language is nothing about, it's all about codification. Because without the words, what would we do? We could use signs or symbols, but I think words help us to name the thing, but we don't understand what the thing is. So, okay. These are let's say, the three directions Boisseau made, and he made a model that looks like this. He called this the I space. At the one right-hand side, you can see common sense. Common sense is, of course, diffused. Everybody has common sense. The news is already codified. A textbook knowledge is highly abstracted and codified, as compared to my personal knowledge, as compared to my passive experience. So you can move around in this three-dimensional cube to understand how information or assets can be defined. So let's try to apply this to TRIZ.